Hello, ladies. It's good to talk to you, even if I can't see you and you can't see me. But today I'm going to make a little bit of a all-around video tutorial. It's going to be about some techniques and some supplies that we'll be using in this Maja design Joyous Winterdays Christmas card kit. So I want to start with the stamp set that I used. I know some of you may be interested in where I got the stamp set, and I can tell you that's from one of my favorite online stores, and that's Altenew. And they reminded me of European Christmas cookies. So there's the star and the heart and the snowflake, and then the embellishments that go with the star and heart. And there's some really nice Christmas sentiments: peace, love, joy, Noel, and happy holidays. So if you're interested in that, you can go online to Altenew, open an account, and with every purchase you earn points, and you can get tutorials there, you can get kits, you can get a whole lot of stuff. I really encourage you to have a look there and see what they all have to offer. And even if you don't purchase Altenew, I recommend watching their tutorial videos, because they do some lovely, gorgeous things that you can do with other supplies. So that's the stamp set, and that's for card number, let me just check here, that's for card number 4. That's this card here. So let me grab it. This one right here. Okay. So I heat embossed the white base and then stamped in the color afterwards. So that's the cookie, the cookies that are hanging off the line here, or the banner, I guess you could say. So that's about one of the things that I used. The other thing I want to talk to you about is stencils. Now, you do not have to use the exact same stencils I did, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Some of you took Shabby Chic and mixed media with me when I was living in Victoria, and we used a lot of, let me see if I can get them out here. We use a lot of Tim Holtz stencils, sorry. And these are 2 of the larger ones of his that I purchased. And where did I put the small ones? I had them out just yesterday when I did this video, and I had to redo the video because I didn't have enough memory on my phone, and my iPad is too old, it won't work anymore. So I've been having a few struggles, and I pulled out the smaller stencils to show you what you could do if you have just the smaller ones. And I can't find them, so I'm going to stop the video here and have a look. One moment. Okay, I found them. They got buried under a little bit of a paper pile. So I keep my smaller ones. They fit perfectly in this CD or DVD holder. So in some of the classes we use some of these. You might be able to, for the card number 1, you're going to be using a small pattern stencil. So it doesn't matter what it is, as long as the pattern is small. And you can see here, this gray piece of cardstock that I have 1 layer of has these tiny little dots of different sizes, and they're on the left side and the bottom of that piece, because everything is pushed up, or sorry, pushed down to this corner. So it's the top and the left side that you just need to stencil. You don't need to stencil the whole entire piece. So I just want to talk about, for this particular card, a small pattern is good. So let's see what we have here. That dotted one is this one that I used. It's the larger one of Tim Holtz. Okay. And there is, let's see, This one might work, but it has all those empty spaces will be filled. So if that's all you have, use it. The stonework is too big. That's too big. That's too big. The flowers, no, no. The roses, no. The brick, no. So where did my holly one go? That would be a good one. We used, for some of the Christmas cards we did in the past, there was a holly stencil this size that we used. And that one is missing. But those of you that have it, you will know what I'm talking about. So let's just carry on from there. So for card number 1, for that gray cardstock piece, you want to use a small pattern, dots or even little hearts or little stars or something like that. Then for the card with the cookies on it, this is card number 4, and I'm going to flip up the things hanging off of the banner, and you can see this large flourish stencil that I used on here, and the paper has a really soft colored blue-gray pattern with little dots and little stars. So I decided, because it was such a light pattern, to color my paste. Sorry about that, I couldn't think of it for a moment. I think my memory is getting worse. So we'll talk about that a little later on. But we'll be doing that with those two. So you need 2 stencil patterns for these cards. And if you're looking for a new place or new stencils besides Tim Holtz, these are some of the ones that I got from Altenew. Okay, so this great big flourish one is one that I use from Altenew, but Tim Holtz has one very similar. The pattern's just a little bit smaller, but it's not too small. So you can go ahead and use it if you have the large version of this. If you have the smaller stencils, it's going to be too small of a pattern for that particular card. And oh, here it is. Here is the holly that I suggested that might work for a small pattern. If you kind of get the side like this and then the top, you know, like that towards the edge there, that'll work okay. All right, so let me put that back with the small stencils. So that's one I got from Altenew. I have a whole wish list, miles and miles long, at Altenew, because it's a little on the expensive side, but I love Altenew. That's all I can say. I don't know which to choose, Stampin' Up! Or Altenew. So another one I got from Altenew is this one here. If you have this one, this might work for the small pattern if you use the small part here. Okay, if you don't have this one, don't go out specially buying it unless you really, really want it. And this is another one I have from Altenew, and this one looks really great. I did a heat embossing practice of this one here, so I was thinking of putting bright orange and bright pink and lime green flowers on this to make it tropical. Anyway, and then there's this script one. I don't know where I got this one from. It's just one that I have. I have no clue where that came from. Same with this ivy. I had no clue where that came from. So just letting you know about these things. All right, so we've touched upon the stencils. So now I want to talk to you. You've got a couple of metal snowflakes, and that's for the first card that we're doing here. You can see there's one here and one right here. Okay, and they have, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, they may look like they've got gray dots all over, but it's actually glitter, silver glitter. Okay, so I happen to have, sometimes it's hard to find a really white embossing powder, and I've come across a couple that have actually worked really well. This one I've got for a while now. I do not know, I didn't take the time to look it up to see if Ranger still sells this embossing powder. It's called Snowflake Tinsel, and it is white with silver glitter in it. Okay, now when you look at it, it actually looks a little bit creamy, but I was surprised how white it came out when I embossed the snowflakes. So you can see the snowflakes are white, but it looks kind of creamy in here. All right, now if you do not or cannot find embossing powder with silver glitter in it, you can make your own. You can use a really fine embossing powder in a really nice white, and I recommend Altenew Crisp Embossing Powder, pure white. I love this stuff. It's very, very fine and it's wonderful to work with. I used it on the cookies for card number 4 here, those cookies. Okay, so you can see how nice and white they are. And you can take approximately, I'd say 2.5 teaspoons of embossing powder and 1/4 to a piling quarter teaspoon of silver glitter. Mix that all up and you can use that. And what you're going to do, for those of you who have never embossed in a metal embellishment, you're going to take your Versamark watermark stamp pad and you're going to turn the right side down and you're going to push down with your fingers. Now you're going to get sticky fingers. The embossing powder might come onto the back a little bit because you're really pressing it into the pad, okay? And get a nice thick coverage of that sticky clear embossing watermark ink. And then you will cover your snowflakes with that white embossing powder mixed with silver glitter and heat it up, and they look gorgeous. Don't they look gorgeous? I think they do. So that's what you can do with your embossing powder and silver glitter for the stars. The next thing I want to talk about is cutting your frames. Now you might wonder, what are you talking about? In the past kit I talked about frames. And what it is from a 6x6 pad of paper, sometimes there's only one sheet and you want to use both sides because they match well together, or you're limited in the number of sheets, any number of reasons, or just for saving paper so you don't have to buy as much. And so, let's see, card number, let's see, these are the cards, I think, that I did the framing on. Yes, so this is card number 1. So this under this layer here is a frame, and this piece here is the inside part of the frame, and that got framed again. So on the first card, there's a lot of frames that you're using just so that you can get those matching multiple layers of paper. And then on card number 3, I don't know if you can see it, but I did the frame there as well so that I could use what was behind there for this tag here. Okay, and then there's another tag here from a different paper. But so that's why I did it, because that was the only sheet that had this lovely pattern on it and I wanted to use it. So that's why I made a frame for that card. That's card number 3. And then card number 4, the one with the cookie banner on it, it has a frame as well. See here? And this is because I needed to use this paper for the gift tag that goes along with this card, and for card number 6 here. Some of the paper for card number 6, these straws. They're not real straws. One of them's made with this paper here. And this too has, I think it does. At least I thought it did. No, this one does not have a cutout frame. But these three do for sure. All right. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now on my camera, you cannot see my entire paper trimmer, because I can't, there's no place for me to put my cell phone up higher to video this, to record this. So you won't see the whole thing, but you'll get the idea. So some of the frames will be 1/2 inch and some of them will be 3/4 inch. And if you have a paper trimmer that has measurements to the right of the cutting line, that's great. It makes it a little bit easier. If you don't, there's no big deal. You can still do it. So I'm going to do 2 cuts using this and 2 cuts using this side. And you can see that it doesn't really matter. So for this side here, let's say I want a 1/2 inch frame. So there's a 1/2 inch right here, and there's a 3/4 inch here. Okay, so maybe I'll do a 3/4 inch. But some of them call for 1/2 inch just because we need a larger piece in the middle. So don't make them all 3/4 inches, okay? So I'm going to line it up with the 3/4 inch line. Then you're going to find the 3/4 inch measurement on your arm here, okay? And you're going to line it up, push it down into the paper. Find your 3/4 measurement down here, and that's as far as you cut with your paper trimmer. And you lift it up, turn it around, line it up again at the same measurement, whether it's 1/2 or 3/4, and this one is 3/4. And make sure it's still at 3/4 before you push it down, and go up to 3/4 inches up here, and you can kind of feel it as it hits the cut. Okay, and you can see. So now, if you do not have this on your paper trimmer and you only have measurements on this side, let me show you how you're going to do it on that side. So on that side, if you're doing a 1/2 inch, you're going to line it up here. If you're doing 3/4 inch, you're going to do it there. So remember to check each time with each card what the measurement is, if it's 1/2 or 3/4. You do the same thing with the arm. Line up your blade at 3/4 inch. Go down to 3/4 inch from the bottom. All right. Lift it up, turn it around, and you either line it up at 1/2 or 3/4. This one is 3/4. And you're going to, I always like to start where I end off. It makes it a little easier because that's pretty close to where it's supposed to be anyway. And then go up to your measurement, whether it's 1/2 or 3/4. Okay. And this pops out. Okay. So this you can put on the base of your card, and then larger layers of paper can go on top, and you don't even notice that you haven't used the whole thing. And you might have to do another frame for here because you want to use this side. You get my meaning? And then you'll have a centerpiece that comes out of here that you might use somewhere else. So that's how it works. And if you have any questions about that, you can just email me at glimmercraft is one word, .sabrina@gmail.com, and I will do my best to answer your questions, or you can message me on Facebook. Okay, so that is framing and how to go about doing that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about working with paste, and this is going to cover a fair bit of the video. My favorite paste is Liquitex Professional Modeling Paste, and it's a gel medium. You can get acrylic medium, and I'll show you what that's like. This is an 8 ounce or 237 mil. Because I grew up with ounces and stuff, I still relate better to the to the ounces. This is an 8-ounce one, so you can get a 4-ounce, 8-ounce, 16-ounce, and 32-ounce. Okay, and of course the bigger they are, the more expensive. So I would not get a large one or even a medium one if you're not doing a lot of shabby chic or mixed media stuff. All right, and you can get great big jars like this one here, even in this, but it was really expensive. This is an artist's medium, and it's called modeling paste, just like this one is, but the difference between it is this is acrylic, and I'll show you what it's like. You can see how much thinner it is, whereas when I open the one that I like, it's thicker. So you have to maybe get 2 small ones of each type and see which one you prefer. This one has more give to it. It doesn't crack as much as the other one, but I still prefer the other one. It just has more texture to it. Okay, and there are other types of modeling paste. Just make sure it's a gel medium because it's a little bit more hardy than the acrylic medium is, and don't ask me why. The other thing I want to talk to you about is when you take off the lid to most of these gels or pastes, I should say, they often have a sealed thing. This one was cardboard with plastic inside. These ones always come with a gold foil. Okay, just let me lift this up here, and you can see how much thicker this stuff is. And you can see that the foil was gold. All right, and one time I find that sometimes you don't get the lids turned all the way tight, and if you do too tight, it's too hard to open. So at one time I had a smaller jar than this, and I used cling wrap and stuck it on there and then put the lid on, and for some reason the cling wrap made everything, it built up some condensation, and it started to make the paste bad. So my recommendation is, if you're going to do something on there to help keep the lid tight and airtight, to use a piece of foil. And it starts breaking, no big deal. You just get another little piece and put it on there. So this is the paste that I'm going to be working with to show you. And there's different things that I'm going to show you about this paste, and I don't want it to dry, so I'll just put this on for now. We need certain tools to work with, and you can use an old spoon, you know, for scooping some out. You never want to always put your tool back and forth between what you're working on and into here, because you can bring something into here that will make your paste go bad. So it's always a good idea to scoop some up with an old metal spoon, or even a little plastic spatula like this, or even a bread and butter spatula, to scoop some out and put it into something that you're going to be working with. I like to use plastic lids. Sometimes if I'm using a bit more than that, you know those muffins you can buy, what is it, 8 muffins in a container, and they're that clear plastic, and they sit in the shape of a muffin. I cut those up and keep those little cups and use those too. So you're going to need a spatula of some kind, and you're going to need an applicator. You can use a palette knife to spread it around with on your stencil, or you can use these, what are they called? These are from Prima, Art Basics Prima. That's a Prima product. And this is a 1-inch one. You can get a 2-inch one too that's twice as wide. And for this particular project, 1-inch will work fine. And it's a silicone rubbery kind of a brush. It's not bristles, so you get a smoother finish. And it also works to scrape off the excess. So I'll show you how that works. And then for painting the edges, like these here, you can see here how there's that You can use either white gesso or white acrylic paint, okay? Or you can use your paste. Now, for winter cards or Christmas cards, I like to use the paste because it's thicker and it seems more fluffy and snowier than a paint does. And another thing is you can take your heat tool and dry it with that, and it kind of marginally fluffs it up a tiny bit. You can kind of notice it. It doesn't fluff it up like you maybe want it to, but it does fluff up a tiny bit. Okay, so so I'll show you how we're going to do the edges of the paper. We're going to do it a little bit different this time. So you'll need a little brush like this. I think this is a 1/4 inch brush. That's 3/8. So it's a small small little brush. You don't need anything bigger than that. Okay, so on the card here, I mixed in some color. Now I used a blue ink pad refiller and a little bit of gray because the blue was just a tad too bright. But you can also use acrylic paint, and you only need a dot or two using a toothpick or maybe the end of your brush with just a dot or two on that. You don't need anything more than that, or your color is going to be too dark or too bright, and you won't keep wanting to add paste to it and add paste to it, and you're going to end up wasting your paste. So have a few toothpicks handy for that. So I'm going to try and show you the exact blue that I did here. You'll notice there's some glitter on here. I did not put any glitter in there, and I'll show you that later on. There's also glitter on the laser cut holly leaves. So that's the same glitter as on there. So let's start here with mixing, and I'm just going to grab some here. Okay, so you don't need too much, and just wipe off my tool here so it doesn't dry on. Then I'm going to take these are Stampin' Up colors. Since I was a Stampin' Up demonstrator a few years ago, I still have lots of this stuff left. So I'm just going to do this on my toothpick. Maybe just a bit more. One. There we go. So you can see how dark that is, right? Maybe I got too much this time. It does dry a tiny bit lighter, and you want to mix it really, really well. Sometimes I don't mix it well because for that project I want it to have light, dark, and white bits in it. But for this, I thought to have it mixed well so that you don't have any white smears would be good. Okay, so you can see that's a little bit bluer than I wanted. So I'm going to take another toothpick, and I'm going to take a light gray. I think it's a light gray. What's this one called? Smoky slate. I think that's the darker gray. Oh no, it's the lighter gray. And I'm just going to put a little bit on there. Okay. And just add a little bit of grayness to it. I hope I don't have too much on here. But you can see it's going a little grayer, and I just broke the toothpick. Mix that well. Oh, sounds like we're going to have some lightning. I hear some thunder out there. we've had some really hot days, and now I guess we're getting some lightning and thunder as it cools down a little. So it's a little grayer now. So you can see this compared to that, that's bluer than that. All right. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pull out your stencil, and I am going to use the one I got from Altenew. That's the one I used on my card. Remember, if you have the Tim Holtz Flourishes, the larger version, you can use that one or something similar to that. Okay, it doesn't even have to be Tim Holtz or Altenew. It could be a totally different company. And I'm going to use it on, what paper do I have out here for that? Okay, I've got this yellow here. I'll use this. And if this is the bottom, you'll notice I have the swirl going upwards here, like this. Okay, you can do it whatever way you want. So I'm going to do it like so. And another tip I would like to give you is on this card, you want the edges to look like the edges have faded away and broken off a little bit. You don't want to go somewhere and just stop and have you can see a straight line, and you'll have that too right here along the edges. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it with this spatula, or yeah, I'll just call it a spatula. And then I'm going to use my brush to do more details with it. So I'm taking most of it here, and I'm just, you could put it on kind of thick at first. Okay, kind of in the center like that. And then with the brush, you are going to go inwards instead of outwards. Oh no, you're going outwards, sorry. If you go inwards, you're going to make it smaller. So you want to go outwards, but you don't want to leave a straight line. You're just going to kind of spread it so that it doesn't necessarily have to go to the edge of something. Okay, you can see how it is. All right, and it's kind of thick on there, so I didn't need this much paste. And then what I'm going to do is you can take your spatula if you prefer, but I'm going to use my brush, and I'm just going to take the excess off here. And this is where the 2-inch one comes in handy. The 1-inch is great for getting that feathered out look. Okay, just feather it a bit more. Here we go. And then I'm going to just almost vertically, because you want it to be the level of, okay, so go that way and then this way. And then you can see how it's kind of level with the stencil. Then you very carefully lift it up, and you can see how there's broken bits here, how it's kind of fading out a bit. That's what you want, okay? You don't want it to be solid and looking like that there's an edge to the stencil. All right, so that's how we do it. Then when this is dry, you're going to take, you can use your, oh, I forgot what company does this, Spectre Noir shimmer sparkle pen to go on top. But I found something that has a bit more glimmer to it. It's actually a glitter paint. It's called Craft Smart Glitter Paint, You can get this at the dollar store. I don't know if all dollar stores have it, but you can get it there. And for just a tiny bit more, not too much, you can get it at Michael's. Okay, so it's not a big, huge price hike at Michael's. So if it's convenient for you to get it at Michael's, then get that. I don't know if Michael's in Victoria will have it, but the Michael's here in Lethbridge does. And I was really excited about it, and I love it. And I'll show you why I love it. Okay, I told you I like these pans too, but there's not quite enough glimmer in there for a Christmas card. Okay, and I thought, oh well, I'll just use my favorite Nouveau products. I love Nouveau, and I have this glimmer paste, and this one is called Moonstone, and I used it on the first card that we did. And the reason why I didn't like it on the first card is because when I put it on the netting, the bow, what's it called, the tool bow, it dried in big clumps like the paste it is, right? That's what paste is. So it's too thick for this purpose. And even though it has a nice sheen to it and glitter to it, I thought, well, maybe there's something that would work better. And that's when I discovered this. And I used the Nouveau glitter paste all around on this card. Okay, I did not put it on the snowflakes because it already had the silver glitter in it. But I wasn't too happy with it. So I'll show you card number 6. Well, I used it in other cards too, but you can see it more on card number 6. I used it here. So when you compare the leaves, I'll show you the leaf. This one here was done with the glitter paste, just like these leaves are done in glitter paste. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with it. All right, and then I found this glitter paint, and I ended up liking it much more. It didn't have that fake look to it to me, and I put it in the flowers and on the leaves. I didn't put it anywhere else on this card, and I left the edges just as they are. I didn't put snow on the edging of this one. I didn't think it needed it with all the glitter of this die cut and the flowers. So oops, I'm holding it upside down. So that shows you the difference, and I hope you could see the difference of the shine in the camera. So let me put this aside here, and we'll continue with more tutorial once I get my foil back on my paste here. I hope you have fun working with the paste. I am so busy here. I don't do any crafting really on my own because Dana, my daughter, she works a lot and she takes care of her 3 children, and then sometimes Jim's children come over, and the 2 younger ones are here a lot, and then Jim has 3 older children, 2 of which come to visit here sometimes with their friends or their girlfriends or fiance, whatever. So it's busy here all the time, and they'll stay over here, and so I cook lots of freezer meals to put in the freezer because you never know when they're going to pop by. And when we have a big huge horde of people, I've been having so much fun baking. I haven't done that since my children left home, and I'm baking for my grandchildren. I'm baking lots. I'd spend a whole day baking and put things in the freezer so they have cookies and muffins and loaves and you name it. And then I've started canning again, which I love, and I got my very first it's not the water bath canner, it's the pressure canner. There we go. And I haven't used it yet, but I'm excited because now I can do chilies and soups and all that sort of stuff, and canned vegetables and potatoes and so on and so forth. But on to work here. So what we're going to talk about now is painting the edges. Okay, I told you that I started doing something different. Normally, we used to put all our layers, I should say, together, and then we would paint the edges of the cardstock. But for Christmas purposes, I decided I would try, if I can find my paper distresser now. It was just here, because I put it here for the video. Oh, here it is. I decided to try painting the layers before assembling them, and it makes a big difference. It looks so much more wintry and snowy like to me, because each layer is done separately and you don't get 2 or 3 layers all bunched together because of what you're painting on. So what you do is, I'm just going to tear this. Some of them you might have tears in. Remember, if you're using one of those mats that are just really a frame, you don't want to make a big long tear in it unless you have paper that's completely behind the whole entire piece on top. So with that, so I didn't need to put away my paste. I think I have a little bit of practice here of teaching and giving instructions. Is you're going to, I'm going to use the other end because I've got blue on this end, is you're going to take a little bit out, okay? So we have a little bit there. And I'm just going to paint that one edge to show you. So you're going to take your brush, you're going to use it dry. You can mist it just slightly if you wish. It may make it a little easier. But what I like to do is just sort of grab some, because sometimes you get a bit of a tail. See that little bit of a tail? And that's kind of like an icicle, and you can just kind of put that on somewhere. Oh, it's not wanting to do its thing today. Anyway, and I just sort of go around the edge like this, and put it every so often, and then kind of join it a bit, and do it like that. And you'll find that when you layer your pieces, let's see here, let's look at this card here. They're not joined together, they're separate, and that's so much nicer. It looks like it was wet when I put this one down because it's joined there. Anyway, so I think it looks a lot better when they're separate, especially if you want it to look like snow and see all the layers, but you could do whatever you like. So, and if you want to blow dry it, it'll puff up just a tiny bit, and it'll dry faster. Or you can just do that to all your edges, put them aside when they're dry. It doesn't take long. You can put it back, then you can put your layers together. So, see if I can get one of those nice long icicles. Oh, there we go. See, there's one that looks like a bit like an icicle. So, yeah, so that's for Christmas. For other Shabby Chic, you don't have to do that. Normally with other Shabby Chic, I tend to use gesso on my edges anyway, so. All right. So I'll put this aside for sure this time. So now I want to talk to you about this card here. Oh, the one I just showed you. You can see here when I pull the bow aside that you have like these cone-shaped rolls, all right? And this tag is tucked in under it. And what it is this layer and this layer. And I'll show you how we do that. So you're going to have the correct sizes for your layers. And you're going to lay them out. And you're going to check to see that you have a 1/16 inch of a frame showing from the mat. This isn't Christmas paper, this is just scrap paper. And you're going to line it up. And if you want to, you can put a temporary adhesive on here. Unfortunately, I ran out of temporary adhesive. I suppose it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm going to use down on this corner here where it's not going to get ripped. Oh, there's no adhesive on that. Where it's not going to get ripped, you can put a little bit of adhesive down in that corner because it's not going to get ripped. Okay, and this corner here is where you're going to rip. So you're going to start right at the corner, and you're going to go almost to the center of the card. Okay, there you go. That's pretty close. The center is right here, and I ripped up to here. So then what you're going to do is you are going to take an end of a paintbrush, a skinny paintbrush. It gets wider as you go, but we only need this little bit here because that's going to be right there, and you don't need to worry about making it tight on this end. You only need to worry about making it tight at the bottom of that to form your cone, and you just roll it. Okay, like so. Keep rolling it. And after a while, you can just get rid of the paintbrush and just keep rolling it. And you're going to roll it further than you need to. Okay, and then we'll do moving a little bit. Maybe I'll need a little more tape on that end there so it doesn't do that. Can you hear the rain? I have my window open. So we get some pretty nice storms out here, and I love storms because when I was 5 years old, we lived on Keystone Mountain. My dad was fire lookout, and that's somewhere closer to Jasper than Banff, I believe. And we had a helicopter pad not far from our cabin, and there was another mountain range across the valley. And when that mountain range had thunder and lightning, we would sit on the helicopter pad, and we had sunshine and nice weather, and over there it was raining and noisy and lightning was striking. So I kind of enjoy the rain. So hopefully you can hear me. And then you're going to do the same thing to the matte piece. Okay, you want it tight at the bottom here. Don't worry about the top, and make a cone shape. Okay, and then do the same here. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but this cardstock's a little harder to do than the designer paper. Okay, so that's how you get that shape from this card here. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to put a little bit of liquid glue more towards the bottom of the cone and adhere it on all these pieces here. Okay, you want this one to be a little wider, I guess. This one a little tighter, this one a little wider, like that. And then this cutter part gets tucked in underneath there when you are putting it onto the card. So that's what you do, and I hope that's something that you would like to do on other cards. It doesn't even have to be Shabby Chic. And if you do shadow boxes and stuff like that, that'd be fun to do. So, and then you would take this off, and you'd put your, whenever you're assembling anything Shabby Chic, each layer, even the base mat, you put your double-sided adhesive tape 1/2 inch from the edge, okay? And then here you might want some to put some here. The reason being is because you may want to tear the paper a little bit or scrunch up the edge a bit, and if it's taped right down at the edge, you won't be able to do that. So those are my tips on how to do that. Then we have one more thing to do. So that was the corner roll, and on card number 6, I believe, yes, this card here, you see we have 3 paper straws. And with the leftover bits and pieces that you have, as you can see, this pattern here is the same pattern as that. So there is, it must be a frame on this one here. I just can't see the inches. It must be a 1-inch frame or something. But, and you want something that's fairly long so that you can put your cutter part on top of it with glue. So you'll have leftover pieces from your 6x6 pad, okay? So you can see that the card is 5.5 by 5.5, and this is a 6-inch long piece. So the part that you cut off, you may have an extra piece or something, and it can be shorter. Like this one is shorter, and this one's shorter, and that's the longer one. So you can have a shorter piece. But what I do to get it going is I start curling it with my bone folder, okay, and do it on both sides. Okay, and then you're going to take your brush again. Now the brush is tapered, so you don't want to wrap the brush tightly. What you want to do is you want to watch your edges. Make sure that they are always lining up with each other as you roll it. Okay. All right. So as you can see, the edges are lining up perfectly. All right. And then you're going to kind of roll it a little bit like so. Then you're going to unroll it a little bit, about 1/2 inch. And you're going to put some liquid glue here. Not too much at the edge, because as you roll it, it pushes out. So you want to have more towards the roll than you do on the edge. And then you can roll it, keeping an eye on the edges lining up properly, like so. You'll get some glue squeezing out, and then you just take it like this and get the glue off that squeezes out, and that will be the underside, okay, where you glue them on. So that's how you do the straw roll. So it's good to have about 1 to 1.5 inches. You don't need more than 1.5 inches. It's going to be too much, okay? So from your scraps, and if you find that you cut your paper in a manner that you don't have those long enough things, you can do short ones and then just use some pop-ups here. But you can see how my straws go all the way down to the flowers. See here? I hope you can see that. But you can always fake it and make shorter ones, and then just put a lot of pop dots underneath here. Okay, I think I have covered everything that is needed for this particular card kit. Oh no, there's one more thing. Cheesecloth. Many of you have taken classes from me with cheesecloth, and these two cards have cheesecloth. I don't think any of the other ones do. No, they do not. This one here is just around the edge a little bit. It's almost like a square piece, and all you need to do is kind of pull the edges a little bit to make it fray in some areas, and then maybe scrunch it back up in the middle if it goes too far out, and adhere it. Now my card, this one in particular, warped. I tried to be very careful with my glue, but obviously it was still too much because now the card is warped. So be very, very careful. If you want to, you can try using just a really thick, like a 1-inch or a 1/2-inch score tape. That might do the trick. It might go through onto the other side, even with the cheesecloth underneath of it. I'm showing it to you upside down. I'm sorry. I keep thinking that you're in front of me and then I need to turn it around so you can see it. So you can do it that way. And that way you might not need to use nearly as much glue, maybe just a dot here or there. So be very careful with your glue. I thought I was careful, but it did not work for that card too well. On this card here, you're going to end up with a long strip, a really nice long strip of cheesecloth. Okay, and what you're going to do, you can see, there we go, you can see what the strip was like. And then you're just going to scrunch it all up and twist it and pull it a little bit here and there. And then you are going to open it again, just a little. You don't need to open it a lot. And you are going to test where you put the cheesecloth, because you want some of it poking out from underneath the circle on both sides. Okay, you want it to be on the outside of the circle and the inside of the circle. So you're just going to work yourself around, and it's going to be kind of an oval because the die cut is a circle, but we want some of it to show from underneath the flowers. So you're just going to bring it around. This piece is not long enough. Your piece will be longer than this, and bring it around all the way up here, and then you put on your straws, your die cut wreath, and your flowers, and then you tuck in your snowman cut apart. Okay, that was the last thing. So I hope this video tutorial was not too long for you. I apologize, but I thought that there was a lot to cover for those especially that did not take Shabby Chic cards from me before. So thank you so much, ladies, for purchasing this kit. I have not done a video in many, many years, so I've had to do this several times. I've had problems. And I thank you and miss you guys. It's lovely to get to talk to you ladies, even if it's without seeing each other. So take care and have fun with your paper crafting. Bye for now.